She broke her own hand and didn't even notice. That's the moment buried inside Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 4 premiere that should worry every fan of the USS Enterprise. Not the dinosaurs. Not the time jump 65 million years into Earth's past. Not even the Martian ship that suddenly owns the fate of human history. The real threat might be standing on the bridge in a security uniform, and she's terrified of what she's becoming. Let's set the scene, because context is everything here. In Valles Marineris, Unachin Riley leads a landing party that includes La'an Noonien-Singh and Erica Ortegas down to a Cretaceous-era Earth, crawling with carnivorous dinosaurs and hiding the wreckage of an alien ship belonging to an insectoid species called the Doldrum. Meanwhile, up in orbit, Pike and the rest of the crew get pulled into a war between ancient Mars and that same alien race, a conflict that will end up reshaping the entire timeline of humanity in this universe. It's big, sweeping, mythology-altering science fiction. And yet the most unsettling beat in the whole episode is small, personal, and almost easy to miss. During the chaos on prehistoric Earth, a dinosaur attacks and La'an punches it. On paper, that's the kind of moment editors cut into trailers. A hero decking a Cretaceous predator with her bare fist should feel triumphant. Instead, it plays like a horror reveal. She shatters bones in her own hand and doesn't register any pain at all. No flinch, no wince, nothing. And that absence of reaction is what should be sending a chill down the spine of anyone who's followed La'an's story from the beginning. Because we already know exactly what that kind of strength means, and exactly whose blood is responsible for it. La'an is a descendant of La'an Noonien-Singh, one of the most dangerous men in Star Trek history, a genetically engineered superhuman whose ambition and cruelty nearly toppled a civilization centuries ago. La'an has spent years trying to outrun that inheritance, trying to prove that shared DNA doesn't mean a shared destiny. But Season 3 cracked that theory wide open. When she was surgically altered into a Vulcan as part of a mission, something shifted in her biology, something that appears to have reactivated the dormant Augment traits passed down from Khan himself. In the aftermath of that transformation, in the episode 4.5 Vulcans, a Vulcan-altered La'an behaved less like the woman we know and more like a cold, calculating Romulan, coldly plotting to weaponize the Enterprise and steer the galaxy toward conquest. Watch that episode again, knowing what happens in the Season 4 premiere, and it stops looking like an isolated, self-contained anomaly. It starts looking like a warning shot. Here's the moment that should really unsettle you. When ship's Dr. Joseph Mbenga tries to lighten the mood after the dinosaur punch, joking with La'an about whether she's about to go conquer the galaxy, she doesn't laugh it off. She doesn't even manage a reassuring smile. She just admits, plainly and honestly, that she doesn't know. Think about what that admission actually means. This is a security chief, someone whose entire professional identity is built around control, discipline, and protecting others. And she's just told a colleague, without irony, that she cannot rule out becoming exactly what she fears most. That's not a passing joke. That's a character silently confronting the possibility that she is losing a war within herself. There's something else worth digging into here, something a lot of viewers might overlook. Lynn has always claimed to have enhanced strength and faster reflexes, inherited traits from Khan's genetic engineering. But if you go back through her history on the show, that claim hasn't always held up. She's lost fights. She was overpowered by a Romulan time traveler named Sarah back in Season 2's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, a defeat that doesn't exactly scream superhuman augment. So why, in Season 4, does she suddenly seem stronger, faster, more dangerous than she's ever been? If her abilities were always dormant and only partially active, what does it mean that they appear to be intensifying now? Is this simply the natural, gradual awakening of genetics that were always there? Or is something else accelerating the process? That question alone should be enough to keep you thinking through the rest of the season. And it's not just the writers hinting at this. It's baked into how other characters perceive her. Scotty, still early in his Starfleet career and one of the more perceptive members of the crew, has openly admitted that La'an frightens him. Not in a dramatic, accusatory way, but in the instinctive way you notice something isn't quite right about a person before you can even explain why. Instincts like that tend to matter in this kind of story. Writers don't plant lines like that about a main character without eventually paying them off. So where does this actually lead? Here's where the bigger picture gets fascinating. We already know La'an won't be part of the crew that eventually serves under Captain James T. Kirk. Her path diverges from the Enterprise's future in a way that's been left deliberately vague since her introduction. That's a huge open question mark hanging over her entire arc, and Season 4 feels like it's finally starting to color that space in. If the show is building toward La'an becoming an adversary to Pike's Enterprise, the way Khan himself eventually rises against Kirk, then everything happening right now, the reactivated augment biology, the unexplained strength, the private admission of fear, isn't random. It's foreshadowing. Christina Chong, the actress who plays La'an, has spoken about the character's arc heading forward, describing a journey shaped by anger and paranoia that eventually leads toward some form of self-acceptance. Notice the order of that description. Self-acceptance comes at the end, which means something has to happen first, something painful, something destabilizing. A character doesn't need to find peace with who they are unless they first go through a period of genuinely losing themselves. That doesn't necessarily mean La'an becomes a full supervillain overnight, and it doesn't mean the story ends with her turning into some galaxy-conquering successor to Khan, but it strongly suggests she's heading into a darker chapter before she comes out the other side. She could become a threat the Enterprise has to contain, or someone Pike has to personally talk down from a terrible choice. The show may even be setting up its own emotional echo of Khan and Kirk, except this time the relationship is closer, more personal, built on years of loyalty and trust instead of a stranger's betrayal. Here's a question worth sitting with. If La'an truly does become dangerous, does that make her a villain, or does it make her a tragedy? Khan saw himself as superior, entitled to rule. La'an, from everything we've seen, is horrified by the possibility of becoming him. That's a fundamentally different starting point, and it could make her arc far more heartbreaking than anything Khan's story ever was. We already know Christina Chong is confirmed to appear through the show's 5th and final season, so this isn't a story that ends with her simply vanishing or being written off. Whatever happens to La'an, however dark this path gets, there's a future version of her still to come. The real mystery is what she has to go through, and possibly who she has to hurt before she gets there. Oh, here's the discussion worth having in the comments. Do you think La'an is truly on a path toward becoming a genuine antagonist for Pike's Enterprise? Or is this a temporary crisis she'll fight her way back from? And if the writers really are building their own version of the Khan and Kirk dynamic, who do you think ends up playing Kirk's role in her story? Whatever the answer turns out to be, one thing feels certain. The most dangerous person on the Enterprise right now might not be an alien, a time traveler, or an ancient Martian warlord. It might be the woman standing on the bridge, staring at her own broken hand, wondering if she's already lost the fight against herself. As Star Trek Strange New Worlds continues to expand its mythology, La'an Noonien-Singh may be on the verge of becoming one of the franchise's most compelling characters. Whether she's destined to follow Khan's dark legacy or finally break free from it remains the biggest question hanging over the series. Every clue, from her unexplained surge in strength to her quiet confession that she doesn't know what she's becoming, suggests the writers are building toward a major emotional turning point. But what makes this story so powerful isn't the possibility of another villain. It's the possibility of watching a hero desperately fight against the darkness inside her. Unlike Khan, La'an doesn't crave power. She fears it. That fear could ultimately be what saves her, or what pushes her over the edge if she loses control. Either way, her journey promises to be one of the defining arcs of the final seasons, blending action, tragedy, and classic Star Trek themes about identity, destiny, and the choices that define who we are. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest Strange New Worlds theories, hidden details, and ending explained videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.